Rob Rennigan here from Biomagnetism Ireland. As you know, in the coming weeks we're travelling around Ireland doing some talks on biomagnetism in various locations, but we're also interviewing some amazing practitioners dotted around the country. And today we're in Drumcondra, just outside Croke Park in Dublin, and we're interviewing Marianne Wims of Biomagnetic Pair Therapy Dublin. So why don't you come on inside with me now and we'll have a little chat with Marianne. How are you?
I'm good.
Thanks so much for having us in.
Well, it's very exciting to have you in my little clinic here.
Yeah, well, it looks amazing. It's fantastic. I love it. And Drumcondra is just it's an amazing spot. It's always a cool place to be. Just reminds me of my childhood and, you know, when I was in my teens, obviously, and going to concerts and stuff like that. So it's really cool. So you did a good job of getting, you know, set up around here because, first of all, I think it's a great place, but everybody knows where Croke Park is, really, don't they?
Yeah.
From one reason or another, whether it's a football match or a concert. So, you know, logistically, I think you'd played a blinder by getting it here. Well done. And
yeah, we're lucky to have such a diverse, busy area close to town, the motorway, but it's also really quiet because, you know, this treatment room, it has a lovely energy, but it's so peaceful even though it's in such a busy area. Yeah. And it's very exciting for me to have you in my little treatment room because Rob treated me for a long time and I was welcomed into your space, and it's really nice to have come full circle, and now I'm well and I'm practicing and I have you in my clinic.
Oh, well, listen, it's great. Come full circle, and thank God you're doing so well. It's brilliant to see you being so well established and doing such great work in the community and in the country as a whole. You know, and you know, it's amazing to see. I don't think you ever get used to that, seeing somebody, you know, go from as ill as you were, because, you know, I think it's safe to say you were very, very ill for so many years. And you know, to see you doing so well now and to embrace biomagnetism yourself and help other people with similar things that you suffered with, that's fantastic, you know.
Oh, it's a blessing. I'm so grateful. I mean, gratitude is such a gift, and you know, not many people lose their health but are then fortunate enough to get it back, because you only really appreciate it when it's gone. So yeah, I thank God every day for biomagnetism and Dr. Goiz and yourself. And
absolutely. Well, look, it's testimony. I've said it 100 times. It's testimony to your strength of character and spirit that you've come back and bounced back so well. Because even though, you know, I think there's one thing getting well physically, but to emotionally and psychologically overcome it, then, you know, you've just done amazingly. And I think, you know, you're a beacon of hope for people who with Lyme disease who, you know, need, you know, some direction. And to see somebody who, hang on a minute, if she can do it, I can do it too, and I could overcome it.
And that's that's something I'm passionate about, because there's an awful lot of negativity and fear and worry, and people think they're never going to overcome something like Lyme. But you know, I think I'm a testimonial that it is. You know, I have 14 years of chronic ill health behind me, but I overcame it, and if I can do it, anybody can. You know,
that's a PhD in Lyme right there, 14 years.
Do you know what it is? Because I used to say that Lyme disease completely ruined my life, and now I say that, you know, I have a PhD in Lyme disease and chronic ill health, and it actually just changed my life, and it's going in a different direction now. Yeah,
absolutely. A PhD in suffering. I mean, you wouldn't pick it, I suppose, going forward, but you know, looking back, it's you've learned so much. And the thing is, when you can transcend that a little bit, when you recover and you know, get on top of it and use it as a tool to help others, that's a gift. Then, you know.
Oh, it is, absolutely.
But look, I suppose I'll fire a few sort of questions at you, just to highlight biomagnetism, because part of the video is a big part of it is to highlight biomagnetism around the country, highlight the practitioners, see how well it's infiltrated into the country, and see the kind of impact that it's having in various communities. And obviously you're here in Dublin, and it's fantastic to have you in Dublin as well. And you know, it's great that we can bounce, you know, clients. If I've got a problem client, and ask you to see them, and vice versa, and it's brilliant. So we can lean on each other in that way. But there's a lot of people obviously down the country who are sort of in the middle of nowhere, so to speak. You know, and so it's good to get in there and show how they're getting on. But you know, I suppose a question that I think a lot of people would want to ask, because you were all over the world basically, you know, essentially you tried everything, all of the antibiotics, the problem. I mean, you went through all the the normal channels, let's say, for recovery before you even stretched your legs on alternative treatments. So, you know, you would have done all the antibiotics, you would have done all the consultations with consultants and doctors here and abroad. So why did you, I suppose, decide to follow biomagnetism, or to give biomagnetism a shot? Because I suppose when you're coming from those areas where you've done everything else, was it a sort of a last chance saloon type scenario? Sure, look, I've tried everything else, so give this lunatic with the magnets a shot over in Barstown.
Well, to be honest, no disrespect at all, but it was desperation, because I felt I tried everything. You know, I come from quite a medical background. I have a logical kind of brain, and for me, you know, I had a bacterial infection. It made sense, you treat that with antibiotics. So I completely embraced anything that, you know, our traditional allopathic medicine had to offer. And I met some great doctors, I met some not so good ones, you know, everybody tried to help. But I just wasn't getting there. You know, I might progress a little bit, but I just plateau, and I just was nowhere near well. And to be honest, that world couldn't offer me anything else. They tried everything they could do. And I think, you know, I had great support with my family, with my parents, and my mum always maintained, look, if this doesn't work, there's always something else. And we always had a plan B, just so that we could fall back on something and keep positive and keep striving forward. Because I was always determined, like I'm a very stubborn woman, as you know, and I was determined I was going to beat it by some means. So I think biomagnetism was probably about our plan P. We had tried so much else, you know, herbal medicine, ozone therapy, hyperthermia, low dose immunotherapy. Like, we tried everything. Wow. So yeah, the madman with the magnets over in Palmerstown, you know, was sort of last chance saloon.
You're giving her all the dice on this.
So it was, my mum actually saw on a Lyme disease forum a man called Tommy O'Grady over in Scotland, who had seen great results with biomagnetics. We'd never even heard of it before, because I think at the time there was probably only about 2 practitioners in the country.
That's right, yeah.
And we thought, well, look, if he's travelling over from Scotland and he's seen results and wants to share, then it's surely worth at least giving it a go.
Yeah.
So I gave it a go, and I think you've told me before that you saw the skepticism written all over my face, and you didn't think I'd be back. But that stubborn woman thought, no, I'm going to see this through. So I embraced it, and thank God I did, because it wasn't an easy road.
No, it got rough for a while.
Very rough. You know, you have a great expression that, you know, healing isn't pretty, and it wasn't. And I was actually quite scared at times that, you know, am I getting worse? But I had faith in it that it couldn't do any harm, you know, and I trusted that anything that I was feeling that was negative, you know, I would overcome that, and it was all in the greater good. And thank God I stuck with it, because I never, even though I kept fighting and I kept striving forward, I never thought that I would feel this well again. And in some ways, I think, you know, physically, I probably feel even better now than I did before I got sick.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And definitely, like, the emotional and spiritual transformation, you know, has been fantastic. And I never foresaw those sort of side effects.
No, well, listen, it's fantastic to see. And I think, you know, your determination and commitment to the process was amazing, because even when it got so rough, you know, you had the courage and the stubbornness to continue. You know, and I think, I suppose, you owe debt to your mum in that scenario, because, you know, you probably come from a long line of determined women who won't take no from an answer, or for an answer. I know your mum's a very determined woman and a fantastic lady. So you had a really good person in your corner there to help you up when you were down, and to encourage you to continue the process, you know. But it's amazing, it's just phenomenal to see you doing so well. So like, I mean, it's interesting to see people responding so well, and also to see people embracing the therapy so much. Like, it's something that I've noticed. I remember when, like, and even when you were coming to see me, like, there was so little of it happening, and there was I think a lot of people threw the baby out with the bathwater in terms of hearing about biomagnetism, hearing magnets, and thinking, sure, how could that help? Because I know my own brother, I felt that way at a point when he started doing like when we brought him to Spain originally. That's where he originally got his first treatment, and then I would treat him at home after that. But I remember the skepticism from our end of the camp also, going, what could this possibly do? But you know what? It's amazing to see something sometimes it's a bit of a mystery as to how it's working, but it's working, you know, and it's phenomenal to see everybody now, not everybody, but a lot of people embracing it now and speaking about, like I see a lot of it on forums now, because I think the proof is in the pudding, and when people are showing such good responses and such good, getting such relief from it, in at least a lot of cases, well then, you know, people tend to respond to that, and I think hearing those, you know, personal accounts of feeling better from people who've been sick for years, nobody can really ignore that.
No.
Because people, they know each other. It becomes a community, particularly with Lyme disease. I think it becomes such a community because I think Lyme disease sufferers are pretty much modern day lepers in a way, because they're just outcasts, you know, of the medical community, unfortunately, because they don't know what to do with them, you know, and it's just so many misdiagnoses, and, you know, I could bang on all day about that, but, you know, it's just really nice to see the glimmer of hope in people where they're like, where friends of theirs who they've, because people become so friendly with each other in those communities, and they know that, and they're saying, well, look, I'm getting well, and then other people are trying it and getting results, and sadly not everyone gets results. I mean, it's not a miracle either. It's a therapy, and it's a fantastic therapy, but, you know, it's also has, you know, some people don't respond, but at the same time, it's getting such good results with a lot of people that you can't ignore that, you know.
And I think for me, the important thing is that, you know, I'd love to see 100% of people come and get better. There's always going to be some people who don't respond to every therapy.
Absolutely, yeah.
But at least with biomagnetism, you're not going to do any harm. You know, the worst that's going to happen is that you have some sessions and you feel it's not for you, and you've spent a relatively small sum of money compared to the exorbitant amounts, you know, people have to spend on other therapies. But at least it's not going to damage you. You're not going to have awful side effects from it, you know, or irreparable damage.
Exactly. There's no risk, like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I think it is good, that word from people like me, because it did take some time for me, and even in the last year or two, since I would have thought, you know, I would have considered myself better, but actually it's grown from there. Even in the last year, I've gotten more strength and more energy. So you know, it can be a slow process, and I think years of damage, it takes time to undo, but at least now there are more and more of us coming through who are saying, no, look, it worked for me, look at me now, and look how sick I was. Because I think when people don't hear the after stories and see the successes, it seems so simple that it's too good to be true.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. Yeah.
Because, you know, a lot of Lyme people, they have to be their own advocates. They're so well researched, and they know so much about science and about medicine, because they have to, you know, they need to look out for themselves. And there's so much complexity involved in this illness that it sort of seems too good to be true, that something so simple can help.
I know, that's true. That's a good point. Because when you've spent all that money and you've been around the world looking for a solution, and then it's almost like it couldn't, you know, you almost don't want to believe that it could be literally around the corner or up the street with just somebody with magnets. You're like, how could that possibly be the solution? And then they go and try it, and they're like, oh my God, it's actually working.
But that's something I've joked to people about, that, you know, I travelled to several clinics in England, in Germany. I spent months in hospital abroad. America was probably next on my list if I could afford to get over there, you know, because that seemed to be where most of the expertise was. And it was a guy 20 minutes across the M50, you know, who ended up holding the key.
It's crazy, isn't it? It is, it's bananas. But look, it's amazing to see you doing so well, and you look, you've done amazingly well. I'm delighted to see you doing so well, and you're doing fantastic things with people in Dublin and in Ireland, and throughout the country altogether. But, you know, it's just, you know, anyone who's unwell or needs help, particularly with Lyme disease, because Marianne knows it so well, you know, Biomagnetic Pair Therapy, Dublin, Marianne Wims, you know, check her out, and she's an absolutely fantastic little clinic here in a lovely setting, and you can't miss Crow Park, obviously. You know, you could just, everyone knows where it is, and you could even come in here, get a session, and shoot over and see Westlife. How good's that? You know, so yeah, no, you can't go wrong. So look, Marianne, thanks so much. As always, you're an absolute pleasure.
Lovely having you.
Lovely
Thanks so
chatting
much
to you.
for coming.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.